Hey, everybody. It's What's Up with Giancarlo. Today we've got topic 8, lesson 3. Solve problems involving circumference of a circle. I can solve problems involving radius, diameter, and circumference of circles. The standard for today is MA.7.GR.1.3. Explore the proportional relationship between circumferences and diameters of circles. Apply a formula for the circumference of a circle to solve mathematical and real-world problems. Let's dive on in, class. Okay, example 1. Describe parts of a circle and find circumference to solve problems. Fayola recently replaced her front bicycle wheel. How far does the bike travel with each revolution of her new wheel? Okay, so look at this. It says diameter equals 26 inches. And then it's going from one side to the other. Okay? It's not including the rubber per se. It's just the metal spoke. Okay? So this is the circle we're talking about. It's very hard to draw a circle. Okay? You'll see. Whatever. Okay. So relate the given information to the parts of a circle. Radius, diameter, and circumference are the most important things when it comes to circles. It's literally everything. So the radius is the distance from the outside of the circle to the center. So this is the radius. This is the radius. Okay? So radius. This full length line from one side to the circle to the other side of the circle is the diameter. The diameter is the distance across the circle through the center. This whole entire circle, the whole outside, is the circumference. It's the distance around the circle. Circumference. Okay? So pi, everybody should know about pi. So pi is when you take the circumference and divide it by d, diameter. Circumference divided by diameter gives you pi. Everybody knows it keeps going and going and going and going, but pi, what we're going to do is pi equals 3.14. Forget everything else. Pi equals 3.14 when you are working it out, okay? Circumference equals pi times d, or c equals 2 pi r, which means 2 times the radius. That's why we throw that 2 in there, okay? So it's 2 pi r. 2 times pi times r. You should have a pi button on your calculator. Yes, you do. You just click that button and it'll work, okay? Or more specifically, you type in 3.14. Yeah. So you just if you click the pi number and then you put in the homework and it doesn't work, just change it to 3.14. So all they're doing to find the circumference of this tire or the wheel is pi times d. The d, if you remember, was 26. Diameter equals 26 inches. So pi times 26, or 26 pi, doesn't matter. So they do 26 times 3.14, and that gives you an answer. Okay? I would like you to write down, when you do work, c equals pi times d, and then whatever your diameter is, like they show you right here, pi times, in this case, is 26, and then you can just do c equals 81.4. 64, I lied. Okay? That's all you have to do. Let's move on. Example 1, try it. What is the circumference of the rim of a basketball hoop with a radius of 9 inches? So, like I said, circumference with a radius is C equals 2 pi r. Okay? Pause. Do it yourself. All right, we're back at it. First, multiply the radius by 2 to get the diameter. Okay? Multiplying the radius by 2 gives us the entire diameter. To get the diameter, which is 9 times 2, is 18. You're right. Good job. Then multiply the diameter by 3.14, an approximation for, I don't know why they say p, they should say pi, for pi, to get a circumference of about 56.52. So why is it about inches and not a certain number? It is because we are rounding pi. We're not clicking the pi button. It says use 3.14. So 3.14 times 18 is about 56.52. Well, it's exactly 56.52, but this is a rounded version of pi. Okay? Any questions? Please get in the comments. Let's move on to example 2. Example 2, find the diameter using the circumference. Kayla and Theo got on the Ferris wheel, shown. About how high will they be at the top of the Ferris wheel? Apply the circumference formula to find the diameter of the Ferris wheel. So we have C equals pi d. Okay? We have the circumference, we do not have the diameter. So I'm just plugging in 220 equals pi d. Okay? So how do we find this out? We divide this by pi, and now we're solving for d. Okay? So d equals 220 over 3.14. Okay? So now we get our calculator. 220 divided by 3.14 equals roughly 70. Okay? It's about how high. So we're just rounding to the nearest whole number. Okay? So the diameter is around 70 feet. Okay? So always use the formulas. Formulas will not steer you wrong. I promise you that. Any questions? Hit up the comments. Let's move on to example 3. Example 3, use circumference to solve a problem. The larger gear turns twice per second. It causes the smaller gear to turn. How fast does the smaller gear turn per second? So you have to find the circumference of both gears. Okay? So it tells you it is 2 inches for the diameter for the small one and 6 inches diameter for the bigger one, for the bigger gear. So we would do C equals pi d, C equals pi d, C equals pi times 2. Oh, they did the larger gear first, but who cares? C equals pi times 6. You plug that into your calculators, and you get 18.80. Nope, I lied. That's the smaller one. You get 6.28, and then C equals 18.84. Okay, larger gear, 6 is the diameter, so I plug 6 in, and I multiply it by pi, which is pi equals 3.14. So on a calculator, 3.14 times 6, I get this. 3.14 times 2, I get this. Okay? So now, the smaller gear makes, so you have to divide these two numbers to find out how many times the smaller gear turns, how many full turns it makes when the larger gear makes one full turn. So we would do 18.84 divided by 6.28. And that gives us 3. When you divide these, you get 3. So every turn this large gear takes, this small gear goes 3 times. Okay? So now the larger gear turns twice per second. So we do 2 times 3. And that tells us that every second, the small gear turns 6 times. So large gear equals twice per second. And then the small gear is 6 times per second. 2 times per second, and then 6 times per second. So we find the circumference of both the large gear and the small gear, large gear, small gear. We divide them to see how many rotations the small gear makes for every 1 rotation of the large gear. And then since it's the large gear has a rotation 2 times per second, the small gear is 6 times per second because it's 3 times per that 1. Okay? Let's go to the try it. Example 3, try it. Use circumference to solve a problem. The circle has a circumference of 9.42. What is the area of the square? So we need to find the radius. So C equals 2 pi r. Not n, r. Okay? So C equals 2 pi r. C, nope, we already know what C is. So it's 9.42 equals 2 pi r. Okay? So now what we need to do is 2 times pi, 2 times 3.14 is 6.28. So we get 9.42 equals 6.28 times r, and then divide both sides by 6.28. And this is all calculator work. So 9.42 divided by 6.28 equals 1.5. And that's what my R is, okay? So this is 1.5. So now I need to find the area of the square. And how do we do that? Well, you can do length times width, base times height, whatever you want to call it, 1.5 times 1.5, or you can just say 1.5 squared. Or it means the same thing, 1.5 times 1.5. They're both the same thing. 1.5 times 1.5 equals 2.25. And that is your answer for this square, the area of the square. All right. Here is the concept. You all have to know this. These are very important, okay? All right, everybody, that's the end of this lesson. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, if you're watching this video, you're a part of the class. See you next time, everybody.